Hey guys, tonight we're starting somewhere quiet. Not peaceful, just quiet in the way a room goes silent when something remembers you. You're standing ankle deep in soft sand, in a place that shouldn't echo, but somehow does. In your right hand, a stick. Just a stick, really. Wooden. Smooth. A little too smooth, actually, like someone's been rubbing it for centuries. It hums gently when you tilt it, like it's storing the sound of something it heard long ago. Maybe something it shouldn't have. You're not entirely sure how you got here. Wasn't it your bed just a moment ago? That faint white noise of your ceiling fan? But now the air feels dry and the horizon curls in that mirage-y way deserts like to joke about. No stars, just a kind of purplish blur above, like the sky's holding its breath. And in the quiet, this stick, which thumps once against your palm and gives off the tiniest drumbeat you've ever heard. You look down again. It's carved, not fancy, but intentional. And now that you squint, some of the engravings resemble symbols you once saw in a museum about North African cultures. Not Arabic, older, almost pre-language, if such a thing exists. A circle inside a triangle, crossed by 3 lines. You brush off a bit of sand from its tip, and it vibrates again. Louder this time, or maybe just closer. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Also, let me know where you're watching from and what time it is. I love seeing bedtime traditions from around the world. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You begin to walk, slowly, because you're pretty sure this is a dream or something very close to one. And in dreams, walking too quickly is just a polite way of asking the dream to turn into a nightmare. As you trudge forward, dunes shift into crumbled stone paths. You recognize something odd. A broken archway, partially buried, carved with the same pattern as your stick. Not an arch for entering. No, it feels more like one of those do not enter unless you've already exited kind of gateways. Something about it says loop. You pass through anyway, and the moment you do, there's music. Not full-on concert music, not even elevator music. Just this subtle tick-tock rhythm in the ground, like a heartbeat too lazy to fully commit. It lines up with your steps, and then it doesn't, and then it leads. People have reported hearing phantom rhythms before. Historians point to 13th century reports from camel herders in North Africa who claimed the earth talks in threes during new moons. Skeptics blame dehydration, but you're not thirsty, just held. There's a rustling behind you. You spin, but there's nothing. Yet your stick taps twice of its own accord, and the ground pulses faintly beneath your feet. A pattern. You match it. You tap once, pause, twice. The hum stops. A breeze stirs, dry and cinnamon-scented, and from somewhere not very far, a bell rings once, then silence, then the stick jumps in your hand. Historians still argue whether objects like this were part of ancient Saharan rituals or just desert art passed from village to village. But one thing they agree on. Many were buried deliberately, sometimes miles from any settlement, sometimes with warnings carved above them like, "Do not unbind the sound." You look down. Your stick now reads in letters far too modern to be comfortable. You tapped back. You're not entirely sure when the village appears. One moment there's wind and sand and that nagging feeling that you should have taken a left turn at your last lucid thought. The next, there are buildings, low and wide, made of sun-bleached clay and timber, tucked gently to the side of a crescent-shaped dune, like they're hiding from the sun. You cross a small stone bridge that arches over nothing. No river, no canal, just dry air. The bridge hums faintly under your step. The same hum as the stick. You don't like that. Welcome to Sahur, or at least that's what the sign says. It's carved into a wooden plank nailed diagonally to a wall. The script is ancient. Berber roots, you think. But scratched just below it in nearly perfect cursive is, "Sleep is for the brave." Cute. The streets are empty. Not eerily empty, just resigned. Like everyone decided, yeah, let's not do this today, and collectively ghosted the concept of being outside. You hear nothing but your own footsteps and the occasional flap of cloth from wind-tugged awnings. You push open a door. Inside there are beds, dozens of them, neatly made, all empty. You walk past what must have once been a communal kitchen. There are clay pots filled with dried herbs, rows of old spoons, and one kettle still warm to the touch. You didn't turn it on, and yet there it is, radiating just enough heat to suggest someone brewed something recently. Chamomile? No. Something spicier like saffron and cinnamon. A sleep draft, maybe? Or its opposite? A little further in, you find a mural. Faded, but still legible. A group of villagers, all wearing robes stitched with geometric shapes, sit in a semicircle around a figure holding a drum. Except it's not a drum. It's your stick. One line of text beneath it, in blocky, childlike handwriting. Do not play Sahur's rhythm after nightfall. You look around. No windows. The roof is open to the sky, which has gone from purple to that deep pre-sleep blue. You're not sure how much time has passed. It doesn't feel like dreaming anymore. In the far corner of the room, a cot, someone's in it, covered to the neck in a woven blanket, face turned toward the wall. You approach, slowly. It's a mannequin, sort of. The face is detailed, too detailed, real eyelashes, real lips, but no breath, just stillness. Its hands are wrapped tightly around a bundle of dry dates tied with string, and around its wrist, a bracelet of carved wooden beads that match your stick exactly. You hear a distant beat, 3 taps, then silence. Historians have long debated the existence of Sahur. Some think it was never a town, but a recurring vision shared among desert mystics who fasted too long in the sun. Others believe it was real and was intentionally erased from maps to prevent mass hallucination. The only solid documentation is from a 16th century Moroccan traveler who claimed he passed through a village without sleep, where time walked in circles. That rhythmic thudding grows closer. It's coming from outside now. You step out, expecting wind, but the air is completely still. In the center of the village plaza, 5 cloaked figures are now sitting. No faces, no movement, but in front of each, a drum. Identical, smooth, cylindrical, made from the same wood as your stick. And without moving a muscle, they tap. Once, twice, then stop. You look down. The stick is gone. It's already in your other hand, mid-air, and you don't remember raising it. You should drop it. You want to drop it, but your fingers won't quite let go, like the stick now considers itself more of a limb than a tool. You stare at it, willing it to loosen. It doesn't. It pulses once, firm, not aggressive, like a polite but extremely insistent handshake. The cloaked figures don't move. But one drum lets out a soft tuk-tuk, followed by silence. Then another answers with a ta-tut, then all 5 play in unison, not loud, not fast, just steady, predictable. Like rain on a rooftop you didn't know you missed. Your knees buckle slightly, not from fear, but from an odd sense of familiarity, as if your body remembers this rhythm from a past life or a deeply buried childhood cartoon that aired only once at 3:17 a.m. in '98. The rhythm wraps around you, not like a melody, more like a spell in loop form. Your heart tries to sink to it and immediately regrets the effort. The stick in your hand jerks once, sharply. Then again, you're being invited, or tested, or maybe timed. You step forward and the cloaked ones stop playing, in perfect unison. Their hoods tilt ever so slightly toward you, like curious owls with tenure. You tap your stick. Once, pause. Twice. The air changes. Not temperature, texture. It goes from dry to velvet, the kind of air you imagine inside an ancient book, closed for 600 years. The largest cloaked figure stands slowly, joints creaking in a way that sounds suspiciously like someone dragging a chair across ceramic tile. It doesn't speak, but holds up its drum. Carved into its side is a set of spirals, inward-facing, arranged in the same pattern you saw under the arch earlier. This is Sahur's rhythm, and now you know it, not intellectually, instinctively, like the way you never learned to blink, you just do. You raise your stick again, and this time you tap in rhythm. Tap, 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 tap. Everything shifts. The village breathes, walls swell ever so slightly and then return to shape. The mannequins in the houses, you now assume there are many, exhale faintly. The air smells of rosewater, old paper, and petrichor? It hasn't rained here in centuries. You see visions, real, memory, of other drummers, a Nubian priestess, a Phoenician sailor, a French Jesuit, all playing Sahur's rhythm in different centuries, always alone, always at night, always forgetting who they were by sunrise. Historians believe that rhythmic trance played a major role in ancient Saharan spiritual ceremonies. But a fringe theory posits that some rhythms aren't just ceremonial, they're instructional, like cheat codes for the subconscious. Or, as one Oxford folklorist once called them, sonic rituals designed not to be remembered. And yet, you remember. Your hands hurt. Not pain, just effort. The stick is heavier now and warmer. The village watches, not the people, not the buildings, but the village. The tallest cloaked figure nods. One nod, one moment, and vanishes. You're left standing alone in the plaza with 4 silent figures, 5 drums, and a rhythm that now lives in your spine. You don't know how, but you understand something deeply unhelpful. You have one more chance to unlearn this rhythm before dreaming becomes permanent. You retreat a few steps, trying not to make noise, but Sahur notices. Of course it does. The very ground here seems calibrated to remember every footfall. Each tiny pebble you shift makes a note. Each grain of sand rearranged feels like a percussionist tuning an invisible drum. Your grip on the stick tightens, not by choice. It's more like it's decided your fingers are now rental property, and your muscles, they twitch ever so slightly in time with a beat you haven't consciously played since, maybe ever. A light flickers at the edge of the square, not a flame, more like a shimmer. And then, out of a narrow side alley, a young girl steps forward, pale blue robe, feet bare, eyes wide open but unblinking. In her hand, a scroll tied in leather cord and sealed with something that looks suspiciously like beeswax. She doesn't speak, just holds it out like she's delivering an overdue library book to the wrong address. You take it. You break the seal. Inside, a single sheet. On it, 9 symbols drawn in reddish ink. Circle, dot, spiral, triangle, square. Then what looks like a house, a stick figure, a crescent moon, and finally, an ear. A phrase is written below. In French, of all things, roughly translated, the rhythm is not heard, it is admitted. You glance up. The girl is gone. You're now completely alone with the 4 remaining cloaked drummers who remain seated, motionless, like they're waiting for something to finish baking. A sharp tap on wood cuts the silence. Somewhere to your left. You turn quickly, and there it is, a large stone tablet mounted on the wall of what was once a courthouse, maybe. Cracked, but readable. The drumming ban of 1327, declared by the elders of Sahur. It reads, "Let it be known that the rhythm once used to awaken the god of dawn is now forbidden under pain of memory loss, dream entrapment, and inexplicable sweating. Let it be known that no instrument, living or carved, shall repeat the sequence of Sahur after dusk. Let it be known that even silence shall bear consequence if it remembers the beat." You blink. There's a coffee ring on the tablet. Who's drinking coffee here? A mainstream historical footnote. In 14th century North Africa, it wasn't uncommon for villagers to outlaw specific sounds or instruments during certain times of day. Some believed that music, especially percussion, had spiritual consequences, capable of summoning jinn, disrupting ancestors, or even creating fissures between dream and waking. But Sahurn's ban wasn't seasonal or cultural, it was survival. You scan the street again. There are no birds, no dog, no insects chirping, no sounds except the one your own bones are beginning to remember. The stick, it pulls again, forward, toward a circular structure at the far end of the plaza. Low walls, no roof, but clearly a sacred space. You enter. There's no door, just a threshold carved with repeating triangular runes. Inside, you find a single drum. It's already playing, softly, slowly, all by itself. And your feet, they're tapping along now. Not quite in time, just a little off, as if your body is struggling to unlearn something it never meant to know. Historians still argue whether the 1327 ban ever truly existed. Some say it was a metaphor in a lost poem. Others insist it was an actual legal edict etched onto townstone. But the stories? They all agree on one thing. The drumming didn't stop because it was annoying. It stopped because it worked, and people started to disappear. There's something about an empty drum that feels safe. You know where you stand with it. It's silent, solid, just a circle of wood and skin. But a drum that's already playing, especially by itself, feels like an invitation written in someone else's handwriting. And this one? It's not just playing, it's responding. Every time your foot taps, it answers. You lift your heel and it whispers a note, like it knows your intentions before you do, like it's leading you somewhere, internal. And the stick, still in your hand, now warm enough to fog your palm. A soft scuffle behind you, sand shifting. You turn slowly. A man stands at the edge of the structure, tall, hunched slightly, dressed in layers of linen that look like they belong to someone who hasn't packed for this century. His eyes are sunken but alert. And in his hand, not a drum, not a scroll, just a bell. He raises it, doesn't ring it. "Don't follow the beat," he says. His voice is paper-thin, the kind that only comes from years of whispering to books and forgetting how vowels work in groups. Once you follow, it finds you. You want to ask a question, but the air doesn't give you room. It's heavy now, thick like sleep. And your eyelids droop, just a little. Not tired, exactly. More suggested. The man nods toward a stone bench nearby. You sit without meaning to. He sits beside you with some effort. "You know the monk?" he asks. "Like you should." You shrug. "Not personally." He smiles, sad, not amused. He tapped the rhythm backward. A beat passes. Backwards, the man holds up the bell. In dreams, direction is a choice, but not always a safe one. And then he tells you, the monk who couldn't forget. It happened sometime in the late 1300s, or maybe earlier. Records are fuzzy when sand eats ink. A traveling ascetic wandered into Saern, looking for silence. That was his whole goal. Silence. He had taken a vow. No speech, no writing, no indulgence in sound of any kind. He communicated through gestures and thin smiles, and the only item he carried was a rope belt and a small pouch of saffron, meant to flavor his thoughts. He was welcomed, briefly. The villagers respected silence. They understood its weight. But one evening he heard the beat, not with his ears. Those were blocked with cotton soaked in oil. He heard it through his spine. He followed the rhythm anyway, and when the drumming stopped, so did the silence in his head. He began speaking, first in languages no one knew, then in patterns, 3 words forward, 2 back. He walked backward for days, saying goodbye to people before they arrived. Historians say he may have been the first recorded case of what modern psychologists call dream state repetition, a condition where the dreamer reenacts a symbolic action over and over in real life without knowing. But others think he remembered too much. He died with a smile on his face and a note pinned to his robe that read, "I can still hear it." You glance at the drum again. Still playing. The man beside you fades, not literally, just emotionally, like a story finishing itself. You look again and the bench is empty. Your hand still wrapped around the stick, your fingers tapping gently. The drum answers. You rise slowly, the way people do when they've just stood up in a dream and aren't sure what gravity's policy is. The air in the drum circle shimmers faintly now, the kind of shimmer that doesn't belong to heat, but to memory, like the light itself is remembering a time it bounced off something important. The drum stops, not with a dramatic bang, just a full stop, like a candle gently deciding it's had enough. You step out of the circle. Your legs feel heavier. Your feet leave barely their prints in the sand, and behind you, those prints start to curl inward, like the ground is trying to erase you backward. You glance toward the center of the village, and there it is. The old well, short, square, carved from basalt and lined in cracked tiles of pale blue. It hums. Of course it hums. At this point, what doesn't hum in Sahorn, you approach it cautiously, half expecting a jump scare from some centuries-old puppet monk. But no, it's just quiet, peaceful, until you peer inside. No water, just bones, fish bones. Dozens of them, arranged carefully like puzzle pieces, as if someone had made an effort not to discard them, but to compose something. On closer look, they've been dyed, red and black, and tied together with horsehair. Not a fish grave. A message. You see patterns. One spiral. One stick figure. A shape that resembles your drumstick. Another spiral. Then a symbol that looks unmistakably like an ear. It hits you. It's a script, a fishbone language. And whoever wrote it? They were trying very, very hard to warn someone. Beneath the bones, scrawled in reddish ink across the stone. Do not feed the sound. You step back. A breeze brushes your ankle. Suddenly, the stick grows cold in your hand, then warm, then cold again. It's responding. You hear a whisper, not near, but right inside your left eardrum. No voice, just a vibration. It spells out the word listen without using any sound at all. You don't know how you know that. You just do. Historians still debate the meaning of fishbone carvings found throughout the Sahara. Some believe they were ritual markings meant to indicate sacred wells. Others think they're early musical notation, a visual attempt to remember rhythms too dangerous to play. But fringe researchers from the 1970s proposed something wilder, that the bones were not symbolic but tactical, used to block sonic portals, literal noise traps. You look into the well again. There's a groove carved in the stone, a notch shaped like your stick. You hover it over the groove just for a moment, just to see. The bones twitch. A gust of wind shouts through the village. Doors slam open in sequence. The air goes tight again, like it's waiting for you to decide the plot. You pull back. The stick warms again. Like it's pleased, the bones settle. And behind you, just out of reach, the faintest sound of drums. 3 beats. Pause. 1 beat. You know now. This wasn't a warning about playing Sahur's rhythm. It was about hearing it. You leave the well behind and something leaves you with it. Not a memory exactly, more like a sense of stillness. Like part of your mind has gone quiet to make room for something noisier. You walk through Sahur now with new ears. Every surface has potential. Every corner breathes. The whole village is a drum waiting for a hand. You pass an archway and notice a scrap of something pinned to the wall. Paper, old but not ancient. Folded neatly, held in place with a small rock. You unfold it. It's a map, labeled in Ottoman script. Rough and oddly shaped, but unmistakable. Sahur, right where you stand. The structures are familiar, but there's something added. 2 red lines crossing through the village center and converging at the old well, then continuing out into the dunes toward a symbol shaped like an eye. At the top corner of the paper, a note. Burn this when you reach the drum. You turn the map over. On the back, written in shaky modern pen, I redrew it. I shouldn't have. In the early 1600s, Ottoman cartographers documented large swaths of the North African interior, often filling in blank spaces with poetry or mythological creatures when they lacked concrete data. One such mapmaker, Yildiz Effendi, was known for drawing invisible cities, settlements that only appeared during eclipses or after extended periods of silence. In his 1622 manuscript, there's mention of Sahur, a place where echoes refuse to leave. The page was later torn out. His journal ends mid-sentence. You look up. Smoke, thin like thread, rising from a building to the east. You follow it, winding through narrow alleys until you reach a small, windowless hut. Inside, the walls are covered in parchment. Maps, symbols, rhythms, some drawn, others etched directly into clay, and in the center, burned into the table, a stick. No, your stick. Identical in shape and markings, it twitches at your presence. You feel your knees give slightly, but you brace yourself against the door frame. There's a journal nearby, open to a page that reads, I tried to chart the sound. The rhythm moves like a border, redrawn in every dream. When I mapped it, it mapped me back. Then, scrawled beneath that, the drum is not local. It travels through hands, not miles. A theory shared among fringe historians that certain objects, particularly instruments, are not artifacts of a place, but of a pattern. That they reappear not through trade or inheritance, but rhythm. Where the sequence is repeated, the object returns. You fold the map and tuck it into your shirt. The stick pulses somewhere outside. A bell rings once. You exit the hut. The village feels less empty, not fuller, but watched. The kind of presence that doesn't stare directly, but through windows, from walls. You reach into your pocket. The fishbone scroll is gone. In its place, a small stone, warm, with the eye symbol carved faintly on its surface. The air thickens again, and your heart taps the pattern. Tap, tap, tap. Tap. By now, you've stopped trying to rationalize anything. It's easier that way. You just keep moving forward, guided by the pattern drumming softly in your chest, like your heart has agreed to freelance for an ancient rhythm cult. The stick feels like an extension of your body now, a toe you forgot you had. You follow the faint red lines from the Ottoman map, retraced in your mind, leading out of the village and toward the open dunes, but you stop just short of the border. There, partially buried in sand, is a metal plaque, English, oddly modern font, bolted into an ancient stone. Sahur Expedition, 1934, property of Luxor Sleep Study Institute. Do not observe dreams beyond this point. You raise an eyebrow. In the early 20th century, European researchers became obsessed with the limits of sleep. Some believed the dream state could be mapped like a country, tracked through brain waves and body temperature. The Luxor Sleep Study Institute was one such organization, based out of Egypt. In 1934, they sent a small team southward to investigate reports of a desert village where time loses meaning after dusk. They never returned, at least not officially. There's a blurry photo published in a 1935 journal. 6 researchers, eyes closed, standing upright in a tent. None respond to touch. Their pulses are normal, but none will wake. The caption reads, "Active dream state persists, no signs of fatigue, lucidity suspected." You're here now, standing in the exact place they studied. And it's silent. Not desert silent, dream silent. The kind of silence that watches you, that waits to be filled with meaning. You kneel and brush away more sand. Another plaque. This one reads, "Do not test rhythms outside designated hours." Time is permeable here. Your brain tries to file that under science, but your spine files it under nope. You hear it again, distant behind you. A low, vibrating tuk-tuk-tuk, followed by a dry whisper. Not words, just breath. Long, sandy exhalations like a desert sighing. You turn. No one, except... At the edge of the dune, you see tents. Tattered but upright. White canvas stitched with red thread. Some collapsed, one still swaying as if recently entered. You walk toward it, step by step. Inside, the air is cooler. Someone, maybe something, has been keeping this place in use. There's a table, a single candle long since burned out, a phonograph, and a stack of real recordings marked only with numbers. You play one. A woman's voice, faintly British. Subject reported recursive dreaming. Pattern appears rhythmic, 3-beat with pause. Refuses to speak upon waking. 2 other subjects now hearing sound in waking hours. We've isolated the rhythm. No longer playing recordings aloud. Sound may be mimetic. Please advise. Mimetic, like a yawn, or a tune, or a dream. You back away slowly. And then the stick pulses again, but not in your hand, in your head. That same beat, tap, 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 tap. And this time, something inside you answers back. Historians still argue whether the Luxor Institute uncovered anything of value. Official records were destroyed in a fire in 1941. But one fragment of a telegram remains. The rhythm does not just induce sleep. It connects dreams. If you hear it twice, you are already inside. You step out of the tent and now the sand is different. Not softer, not warmer, louder, like it's listening. You return to Sahorn, but it's not the same village anymore. Not in any obvious way. The buildings still crumble politely. The wind still smells of warm cinnamon and salt. But something has shifted. The place has begun to anticipate you. As you step past the archway, a soft tuck echoes underfoot. Not from your stick, from the sand itself. You freeze. The sound comes again, but now from behind, then above, then beneath your ribs. You blink and the square is filled, not with people, but with copies. Moments. Shadows of villagers caught mid-step, mid-drumbeat, mid-yawn, like the place is replaying old footage. Ghosts of rhythm past. One of them turns. It looks like you. Same height, same clothes, same expression of, "Oh, I did not sign up for this." It raises a hand, not to wave, to drum. And suddenly you remember 1978, the Sahur chant incident. It started innocently. A Tunisian radio host looking to spice up his Ramadan playlist discovered a dusty tape labeled Field Recording, Sahur Rhythm. No metadata, no artist, just 3 minutes of soft, syncopated percussion layered with a breathy chant that sounded like someone saying "Din Din Din Sahur" on loop through a clay pot. He aired it once, at midnight. Within 24 hours, 2 towns reported mass insomnia. Listeners said they could still hear the chant under their thoughts. A few entered lucid states that lasted days. One man claimed his dreams had mirrors. Another refused to speak at all, instead clicking his tongue in threes. The station pulled the tape. It resurfaced 3 weeks later on an Algerian pirate broadcast, and then again in a Turkish nightclub DJ's set list. Every time it spread further, quieter, not viral, auditory dormant, until a sound engineer noticed something chilling. Each version, no matter how distorted, ended with a faint knock. The same knock you just heard beneath your feet. You glance down. Sand shifts. Light taps ripple outward from where you stand. Your stick begins to hum again. Only now it doesn't feel like it's humming at you. It's harmonizing with something else. From down the street, a group of figures emerges, cloaked, faceless, moving slowly but in time. Perfect time. Like a drum line that forgot it wasn't supposed to exist anymore. They part. And in the center, a child. Barefoot, eyes closed, holding a makeshift drum. They start to chant. Tung, tung, tung sahur. 3 beats, a pause. Tap, 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 tap. Takes everything you have not to join in. Your fingers twitch, your toes ache to tap. Even your teeth feel like they want to chatter in time. And then the child opens one eye. You're not sure how you know, but in that moment, you understand. This isn't a performance. It's a test, and you've already failed. Historians dismissed the 1978 broadcast as mass suggestion, aided by the cultural atmosphere of Ramadan, sleep deprivation, and poor audio fidelity. But others, acoustic folklorists, dream cartographers, pointed out that every copy of the chant degraded in identical ways, as if the distortion was the message. You back away, slowly, carefully, but behind you now, there's another drum, already playing, and you know it's yours. You want to walk away, maybe even run, but you don't. Not because you're brave, but because running now would feel like trying to outpace your own reflection. And Sahorn doesn't like that. So you turn to face the sound. There it is, a modest drum resting on a stone pedestal that hadn't been there moments ago. It looks handmade, stitched with worn leather, faintly scorched along the edges. Your stick pulls toward it like a compass needle breaking up with the north. You approach, knees locked with caution. The drum vibrates softly. A handprint is burned into its surface. Your sighs, you don't want to touch it. You touch it. And in that moment, your vision pours, a sudden downpour of memories, none of them yours. You see a boy in royal silk weeping in his sleep, a castle with all its clocks stopped, a hallway lined with pillows where people lie dreaming, mouths open as if mid-song, a golden throne, and the sound of 3 soft taps. This is the percussionist prince. He lived centuries ago, some say in Al-Andalus, others insist Morocco, others whisper no kingdom with maps. A boy gifted with perfect rhythm, capable of mimicking any pattern after a single listen. At first, a novelty, then a prodigy, then a threat. Legend says he drummed in his sleep, every night, unconsciously, and when he hit a certain beat, one he didn't know he knew, the air thickened. People near him began dreaming his dreams, and one by one they stopped waking up. He was locked in a tower, not as punishment but precaution. One night, during a lunar eclipse, he reached the forbidden rhythm. His body stayed, his mind left. He was never seen again, but the drumming never stopped. A scholar in the 18th century wrote of hearing faint percussion inside the prince's tomb. Others said they dreamed of him, standing in a desert, barefoot, holding a wooden stick that pulsed like a heartbeat. The same stick now in your hand. You pull your hand from the drum. The pedestal is gone. The street is gone. You're not in Sehorn anymore. You're inside a dream about Sehorn. Not metaphorically, literally. The shadows ripple like curtain folds. The air hums with the electricity of thought. Buildings flicker slightly when you blink too hard. You're in the pattern now. You try to turn, but your body's lagging, like a video buffering under poor Wi-Fi. The ground underfoot is not ground. It's cloth, woven from symbols, spirals, triangles, ears. You are standing on a memory map. The stick lifts itself from your hand and hovers. It strikes the cloth 3 times. Tap, 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 tap. And far above you, like a god turning in its sleep, the sky quivers. You fall backward without falling. You drift sideways without moving. Your body feels like a bag of warm water being poured into a new shape. And then, a voice inside your left ear, feminine, dry, whispering, "You are next." Historians dismiss the tale of the percussionist prince as pure folklore, allegory for overindulgent nobles and the dangers of art without discipline. But others insist his story lingers in rhythm, in lullabies, in war chants, in the subconscious tics of insomniacs tapping on desks at 3 a.m. One thing is certain, he never stopped playing, and now neither can you. You land with a soft thump, except you don't. There's no impact, no pain, just the sudden knowledge that you're upright again, the kind of transition dreams specialize in. And you're no longer in the cloth world of echoes and floating drumsticks. You're in a bedroom, small, dusty, sunlight filtered through linen curtains, a bed that's too neatly made to trust, a bookshelf with only one title, Drum, repeated 15 times in different fonts. On the wall, a backpack, yours. You reach for it instinctively, unzip the front pouch, and there it is, the stick, only now. It's thumping, internally. You don't feel it with your fingers, you feel it inside your fingers, like it's your second pulse. You drop the sahur. The stick doesn't fall. It floats for a moment, then clinks gently against the bed frame like a marble dropped into an old cup. Then, silence. You hear music. Barely. Somewhere, someone's humming that cursed beat. You press your ear to the floor. The sound is coming up from below. You descend a staircase that wasn't there before. Concrete steps slick with condensation. One bare light bulb swinging on a string. The hum gets louder, warmer. At the bottom, a door. You open it and find yourself. Well, not quite. A mannequin again, but this time perfectly you. Down to the stitching on your sleeve. It's seated, gently tapping its thigh with a short wooden stick. The same rhythm, the same tempo. Tap, 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 tap. On a desk beside it, a notebook. The cover reads in embossed silver, How to Dream Responsibly. You flip it open. Welcome to the circle. If you found this journal, it means the rhythm has accepted your participation. You are now part of the pattern. It cannot be stopped, only continued. Recommended exercises. Record your dream beats each morning. Avoid mirrors. Do not speak the rhythm aloud in public spaces. Carry the stick at all times. It remembers better than you do. You shut the book. The mannequin smiles, only slightly. Then its eyes blink, twice, and you hear a voice behind you say, "Did you bring it?" You turn. No one. You look back. The mannequin is gone. You are alone, except for the tapping. Now it's everywhere. Under your feet, in your chest, outside the door. You're back in Sahur. The walls breathe. The sky spins gently like a mobile above a child's crib. Historians who study recurring dream architecture call this moment the recognition spiral, a phenomenon where the dreamer begins to loop environments in smaller, faster sequences until they lose track of origin. You're looping now, except it's not your dream anymore. It's Sahur's. You reach into your bag for the stick. It's gone. No, wait. It's in your other hand, warm, pulsing, patient. It wants to be played. You raise it. And somewhere far away, but getting closer, the drums begin again. You walk now not with purpose, but rhythm. Each step lands in sequence, a subtle rehearsal of that same beat. Tap, 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 tap. The village unfolds before you like a stage set, preloaded in a game engine. The props already waiting where they always were. Sahur isn't just a place anymore. It's a score, a piece of music being replayed around you. You pass the same stone well, only this time the fishbone script on its walls glows faintly red. The bones rearrange themselves. Now they form a perfect spiral pointing downward. You don't follow. Instead, the wind nudges you left, toward a small courtyard framed by dead fig trees. In the center lies a strange object, a flute, about a foot long, carved from something brittle and gray. Not bone, not wood. Palm wood, maybe. Petrified, you lift it. It's lighter than it should be. Too many holes for a human hand to cover. You bring it close to your lips and pause. This feels like one of those irreversible dream decisions, like pulling a lever and waking up with a haircut you didn't ask for. You blow softly and instantly regret it. The sound is breathy, thin but sharp, a single note that rings longer than physics would prefer. The air thickens. You drop the flute, but it doesn't hit the ground. It hovers. Then it plays itself, 3 tones, a pause, then one long note, curving upward like a question you're afraid to answer. Historians argue whether the so-called Sahur flute was ever real. A French collector claimed to have owned it in the 1890s, but lost it when it slipped out of reality. He drew it from memory, a tube with 17 holes and no mouthpiece. Theories vary. Some believe it was an instrument for calling spirits. Others think it was meant for silencing them. It's playing again, and the tone this time vibrates something behind your teeth. The village shudders. You feel it in your sinuses. The ground pulses in threes. The windows blink. You're not hallucinating. They're actually blinking. You step back. The flute drops, hits the dirt, shatters. The silence afterward is profound, not empty, cleansed. And then, footsteps. From every side, figures emerge. Not cloaked, not mannequins. You, copies, variants. Dressed in what you wore 2 dreams ago, 1 dream ahead, or never at all. One has a cracked phone in hand. Another carries a clay jar. One's missing shoes. They surround you, calm, quiet. waiting. One steps forward and places a hand on your chest. Your heart stutters. The rhythm adjusts. Tap, 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 tap. Oh, in sync now. You try to back away, but your feet are rooted. No, tuned. You're standing in a massive sigil. Triangles within circles within lines. The earth beneath you hums like a tuning fork. The figures begin to hum. They don't speak. They harmonize. And the sound lifts something in your mind. A wall, a veil. A memory of being 6 years old and tapping your spoon on a bowl in the exact same pattern. You didn't learn it. You remembered it. Sahur isn't teaching you the rhythm. It's reminding you. The wind carries the scent of saffron again, and a whisper everywhere at once. You are the measure now. Your body no longer feels like yours, not in the spooky horror movie way, but in the strangely bureaucratic sense that it's been loaned to someone else for an indefinite period with unclear terms and zero customer support. The figures surrounding you dissolve. Poof, no drama. And Sahur stretches itself again. The sky above ripples. Buildings lean left, then right, like they're listening. And the sand begins to pulse. Not move, pulse, gently rising and falling, like a breath you didn't know the ground was taking. With each pulse, the stick in your hand thumps once in agreement. You realize what's happening. You're not hearing the rhythm anymore. You're inside it. Each grain of sand, each flicker of light, it's all syncopated now. Reality itself is swaying to a beat. Someone else started a long, long time ago, and it gets worse. You're dreaming now, but not asleep. You know this because you blink, and suddenly the sky is underwater. Not metaphorically. It's undulating like a pond surface above your head, complete with drifting lily pads and a lazy frog that paddles past the sun. You blink again and you're back, but not quite. Sahur has shifted again, turned sideways. Doors open upward, shadows fall in spirals, and the buildings murmur. Not people, the buildings. You take one cautious step forward and the ground plays a soft, hollow note. You take another. Same beat, higher pitch. You walk a scale. Do, re, my. Tap, 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 tap. And then you hear it. Not outside, but deep inside your ears. The dreamscape drumline. They're not visible, but they're real. You can feel them marching just beneath your thoughts. Their steps make your stomach flutter. Their rhythm guides your breath without asking. You're marching too, without meaning to. Each step feels both new and scripted, like déjà vu wearing dress shoes. You try to slow your pace, but the beat tugs harder. Every time you resist, the stick in your hand shivers. It's warning you. Historians once documented dreamers who walked in their sleep and followed invisible pathways, some into deserts, others into lakes. Often they returned with no memory, or worse, they returned with a memory that didn't belong to them. In one 1911 report, a woman in Fez awoke speaking Akkadian, a dead language she'd never encountered. Her husband claimed she had been humming a marching song with no tune. Her palms were blistered. You look down. Yours are starting to blister too. Faint, round bruises form where your fingers press against the stick. Not painful yet, but insistent, rhythmic. Your path narrows. The buildings lean in, and you realize they're not walls anymore. They're drums. You are walking a corridor of percussion, and with each footstep, the city plays itself. Every tile is a tone, every shadow a pause. This is not architecture, it's composition. You reach a chamber at the end of the corridor, a wide, domed space filled with silence, so heavy it bends your posture forward. In the center, a mirrored floor. You step onto it and see yourself. Sleeping, eyes closed, mouth slightly open. still, unmoving, stick in hand, and somewhere just above your left shoulder, the faint sound of snoring. You're snoring. You are watching yourself dream. And Sahorn is watching you back. You don't panic, because this isn't the kind of dream where panic is allowed. Sahorn doesn't do panic. It does pacing. It does patterns. It does the slow, creeping realization that everything is happening exactly how it was supposed to, and that's the part that's scariest. Your reflection blinks. You don't. That version of you, asleep on the mirrored floor, exhales slowly. Peaceful. Too peaceful. You reach out to touch the glass. It's warm. Not just body warm, but memory warm, like holding the side of a mug you drank from as a child. Like nostalgia made solid. Then it ripples. One beat, then two. Then your reflection opens its mouth and exhales. A sound. Not a word, not a name, a verdict. Guilty. You flinch, but you shouldn't be surprised. Every rhythm needs a listener. Every dream needs a witness. And now it's time for the trial. The chamber shifts again. The mirrored floor darkens into sand. The dome fades into a courtroom. Ancient, open air, carved entirely from salt stone. You stand in the center. The gallery fills around you, not with people, but with effigies. Of you, all versions. The kid who tapped his spoon at dinner. The teenager who drummed on desks. The adult who hums rhythms in elevators. All of them watching. At the judge's bench, a robed figure, not cloaked, not hidden. It's the stick. Standing upright, tall, impossibly tall, wearing a judge's cap and vibrating faintly. It speaks in rhythms, no words. Tap, 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 tap. The crowd murmurs, echoes, breathes. A scribe in the corner etches each beat into clay tablets that dissolve seconds later. A bailiff, part mannequin, part fig tree, leans in and presents a scroll. On it, a list of every time you ever tapped your foot subconsciously. It's long, very long. The trial begins. The charges: dream interference, unauthorized rhythm, recall, echo loop violation, attempted tempo manipulation. Your defense is silence. But Sahorn doesn't need a defense. It needs closure. The judge stick leans forward. The verdict again in rhythm. Tap, 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 tap. The meaning is clear. Exile into the mirage. And just like that, the courtroom dissolves. You're standing in a salt flat now. Blindingly bright, empty. Miles in every direction. Except for one object ahead. A wooden stick, half buried, identical to the one you just held. You pick it up. It hums, slow, slow, patient. Like a lullaby that's forgotten its melody but remembers the tone. You're not alone. In the corner of your vision, shadows. The past drummers. The monk. The prince. The girl with the beeswax scroll. All standing quietly. They're not looking at you. They're looking at your hands. And now so are you. Because the stick is no longer humming. It's glowing. And in the dust at your feet, words appear, etched by no hand. The dream ends when the rhythm forgives you. The rhythm forgives when you forget. You will not forget. You take a step forward and the horizon bends. Not a metaphor. It actually bends, curling at the edges like old paper left too close to fire. The salt flat beneath your feet cracks slightly, as if offended by your weight, your presence, your persistence. Above you, the sky fractures into panels, thin, brittle panes of dream glass. Behind them, darkness. Not ominous, just blank. The default background of the universe before it picks a filter. You're not dreaming anymore. You're in the shell of a dream. One last rhythm waits to be played. And it's yours. The other drummers, the monk, the prince, the girl. Even a version of you in a hoodie and headphones. They stand in a circle now, surrounding a small pedestal. On it, a perfect copy of your stick, floating, spinning slowly like a compass needle with performance anxiety. This is the last act, the final rhythm. You step forward, the others part to let you through. No applause, just expectation. The stick in your hand grows heavier, not with weight, with meaning. You approach the pedestal and feel it, the rhythm waiting in your bones. It's been playing under your words, your sleep, your breath. All you have to do is play it back. You raise the stick. The wind stops. The world quiets. You tap once. The ground responds with a soft thrum. You tap twice. The salt beneath you darkens slightly, forming symbols you've seen before. Spirals, ears, houses, sleep. You pause, then finish. Tap. The dream doesn't collapse. It exhales. A soft breeze returns. The others smile, just a little. Enough to say you did it wrong, but also kind of right. And one by one, they fade. Not disappear, just release. Like sounds leaving a room after the echo is done. You're alone again, but not lonely. You look down. The stick is gone. Your hand is open, empty, relaxed. And finally, you feel tired. The village is quiet now, not pulsing, not waiting, just resting. You walk slowly back through Sahurn's gates. The houses are still. The well is closed. The drums are silent. You reach the archway where it all began and step through. The dream slips away behind you like warm water through fingers. You're in your room again. Not sure when, not sure how. But the fan is on, the light is soft, and somewhere in your memory there's a beat, one you don't need to remember anymore. And now the rhythm quiets. The story settles into its final note, and your breath moves gently in time with the stillness that remains. You've walked through a dream within a dream, felt the weight of forgotten drums and whispered verdicts, and met versions of yourself in places no map would dare chart. Let all of that fade now. You're not in Sahurn. You're here in your own soft space, surrounded by safety, by silence, and by sleep that waits patiently just beyond the edges of thought. Let your limbs grow heavy. Let your breath slow, deepen. The beat is behind you now, tucked neatly away where it belongs, not in your hands, but in the story you've just lived and are now gently letting go of. There's nothing more to chase, no more patterns to decode, just the quiet and the calm and the warmth of rest that wraps around you like a soft song finally finished. You did well. Now sleep. End of script. Sweet dreams.